In this industrial yard, a forklift carries a tall stack of crates toward a truck, but one missed clearance check sends the load into the rigid frame above. Moving extreme vertical cargo requires full awareness of height limits before the machine moves forward. At this busy site, a crane hoists a large tank above the work area, but extending the reach quietly pushes the machine beyond its stable lifting balance. A crane's strength depends on more than the weight of the object. Boom angle, ground support, counterweight, and distance from the base all decide whether the lift stays controlled. As the boom extends outward, the tank acts like a heavy lever pulling against the machine's foundation. If that leverage becomes too great, the outriggers can lose firm contact and the crane can rotate out of position. Every lift needs a clear plan before elevation begins. In this yard, a suspended pipe is being guided from too close to the moving load area, but the tension holding the weight is pushed beyond its safe working limit. A suspended pipe depends completely on cables, hooks, rigging points, and controlled movement. When any part of that system is overloaded, the load can shift from controlled handling to unexpected movement. The area beneath and beside the pipe becomes unsafe because gravity can quickly turn the lift into an uncontrolled load event. Inspect rigging before every lift. Keep the area clear around the load path. Use taglines from a safe distance so the pipe can be guided without entering the moving weight area. At this sloped loading dock, heavy cargo is pushed into a waiting box truck, but the added weight immediately starts an uncontrolled forward movement. A parked vehicle on an incline depends on friction, brakes, and wheel restraint to stay still. When heavy cargo enters the truck, the extra mass can change the balance and overcome weak holding force. If the tires are not chocked, the truck may roll away from the dock before the loading task is complete. The working surface separates from the dock and the entire setup becomes unstable. Use wheel chocks before loading begins. Confirm the parking brake is set. On sloped surfaces, avoid relying on friction alone. Secure the vehicle before adding weight. In this busy gym, a pull-up bar is used with a strong swinging motion, but reduced hand friction quietly creates a sudden loss of grip and balance. Swinging from a bar is not only a strength exercise, it is a control exercise. Grip, hand position, moisture, fatigue, and momentum all decide whether the movement stays safe. When the hands begin to slip, the swinging motion keeps traveling even after control is lost. The faster the swing, the less time remains to correct balance before the movement leaves the controlled range. Keep movements controlled. Use dry hands, proper grip, and moderate range. A pull-up bar is safest when strength, friction, and movement momentum stay within manageable limits. In this busy sorting facility, a forklift raises a towering stack of cargo. Nearby, the floor area remains too close to the raised load path. Lifting a tall stack changes its balance immediately. The higher the forks go, the more the load depends on level ground, careful steering, and even weight distribution. A small shift near the top can send the stack sideways before the machine can be stabilized. The area around an elevated load should be treated as a clear working space, not a waiting area. Keep the area clear around raised loads. Lower the forks before traveling. Confirm that stacked items are stable, centered, and suitable for lifting before the forklift raises them. At a telecom store, the opening is entered before a halfway raised electric iron rolling door finishes its cycle. Without warning, the heavy barrier comes straight down. An automated door is still active until it finishes moving and becomes fully stable. Motors, tracks, springs, and sensors can fail or pause without warning. Passing under a door during its cycle places the path directly beneath a moving barrier with very limited space to respond. The safer choice is to wait until the opening is complete and the path is clearly fixed. Let powered doors finish every cycle. Avoid crossing under moving shutters or gates. A few extra seconds can prevent exposure to unstable metal movement. At a wastewater facility, active work takes place beside a rotating sludge scraper. The moving bridge pulls loose material and nearby objects into its sweep path. Slow-moving machinery can still carry a powerful force. A rotating scraper does not need speed to create major control issues. Steady torque and fixed movement are enough. When tools, loose material, or poor footing conditions enter the sweep path, the machine continues its route and pulls the area into motion. Exposed tank edges add another layer of risk because there is no solid surface beyond the edge. Keep clear of active sweeps. Shut down and isolate power before reaching into the path. Distance and lockout are stronger than fast reactions. At a busy loading dock, a forklift cannot complete the entry into a tight space. It quickly reverses without warning, moving straight into the rear travel path. A reversing forklift has limited visibility, especially near corners, stacked goods, and narrow dock lanes. The rear counterweight moves first, and the space behind the machine may not be visible from the seat. A quick direction change can turn a clear-looking aisle into an active traffic path. The space must be clearly confirmed before backing, and walkways should remain separated from forklift routes. Check mirrors, alarms, and sightlines before reversing. Use a spotter when the view is blocked. Keep walkways separated from forklift routes. At a construction site, a metal beam is being prepared for transport. Without warning, the raised lifting boom loses support and moves downward into the active work area. Any raised boom stores gravitational energy while it holds position above the ground. Pins, hydraulics, cables, joints, and support points must all stay reliable for the lift to remain controlled. If one part fails, the boom can move downward before the area is secured. The space under and near raised equipment should remain empty unless the load is supported and the system is secured. Stay clear of raised arms and suspended equipment. Use proper supports before working nearby. Treat every elevated boom as active until it is lowered, locked, or safely blocked. On a driveway, a wheeled recycling bin is used as an unstable platform while cardboard is being compressed. The top-heavy bin loses balance within seconds. A plastic waste bin is built to hold light material, not shifting weight above the wheelbase. When the weight moves high inside the container, the center of gravity can pass beyond the narrow support area. Unlocked wheels reduce friction and make the bin easier to tip. Once balance is lost, the container can move faster than expected across the hard surface. Keep both feet on stable pavement. Use hands, tools, or proper compacting methods instead of using the bin as a platform. Rolling bins should not be used as standing surfaces. At a steep, unpaved ridge, a dump truck with a fully raised bed quickly loses balance. The raised load shifts the machine toward the slope. A dump truck becomes less stable when the bed is lifted high above the chassis. The higher the bed rises, the higher the center of gravity moves. On uneven or soft ground, that raised weight can pull the vehicle toward the edge before stable control can be restored. Near embankments, a small lean can quickly become a complete loss of control. Lower the bed completely before moving near ridges or slopes. Keep firm distance from soft edges. Dumping should happen only on stable, level ground with enough space for recovery. Heavy wooden planks are being adjusted inside a parked transport truck. Within seconds, the unsecured load shifts, creating an unstable movement hazard. Loose timber on a truck bed can look solid while still shifting under pressure. Uneven boards, gaps, dust, and stacked edges make the walking surface unreliable. When footing changes near an open side, there may be no fixed rail or platform to regain balance. The higher the load sits, the more important it becomes to use a proper access method instead of walking on cargo. Use a stable platform for elevated work. Keep distance from open edges. High in a thick canopy, the top section of a tall pine is being cut. The cut trunk section splits backward, releasing stored force toward the remaining tree. Timber under tension can move in a direction that is not obvious from the ground. A deep cut changes the way the trunk carries weight, especially when fibers are stretched, twisted, or partly split. If the top section separates unevenly, it can swing or rebound toward the standing stem. The cutting position must be planned around stored energy, not only around the intended direction of movement. Study the tree's lean tension and cut path before starting. Use proper rigging and a clear exit route. Distance from the rebound path is essential. At a sawmill, wood is moved near an active log peeler. Loose fabric contacts the spinning metal, and the rotating machine starts pulling the fabric toward the mechanism. Exposed rotating parts can catch loose material quickly. Once fabric contacts a spinning shaft or roller, the machine keeps turning and pulls the material into the moving parts. Reaction time is not a reliable control because the movement begins too quickly and the pull remains continuous. Proper guarding, fitted clothing, and safe distance are essential around rotating equipment. Wear close-fitting clothing near machinery. Keep sleeves, cords, gloves, and loose fabric away from moving parts. Stop the machine before clearing or adjusting material. At a patio, a heavy slab is lifted from the ground. Unaware it covers a hidden floor opening, the next movement forward exposes the missing support surface beneath the setup. A covered hole can look like normal ground until the cover is moved. When a heavy slab is lifted, weight may shift toward the opening before the missing support is clearly visible. The cover can also block the view of the edge until it is already exposed. Any hidden opening should be treated as an active risk until the area is inspected and marked. Check beneath covers before moving them. Stand to the side, not over the unknown space. Mark and protect openings immediately after they are uncovered. At an industrial site, a trailer door is opened during strong wind. The wind catches the large panel, driving it through the work area. Large trailer doors can act like sails when strong wind hits them. A wide metal panel collects air pressure and can move with surprising speed once it is unlatched. The swing path may cross the same space used for walking, loading, or checking the trailer. If the door is not secured, every gust can change its direction and force. Secure doors with proper latches before working nearby. In an open courtyard, concrete is washed using an electric cleaning device. Electrical leakage energizes the wet surface and turns the area into an active current path. Water can carry electricity across a wider area than expected. If a tool, cable, plug, or motor leaks current, the wet surface may become part of the circuit. Normal control of the equipment may be lost, especially when hands, shoes, and floor are damp. Outdoor electrical cleaning needs ground fault protection, dry connections, and checked cables before the work begins. Use ground fault circuit interrupter protection for wet electrical tasks. Inspect cords and plugs carefully. If current is suspected, disconnect power first before any contact or access resumes. Inside a busy box factory, material is cleared from an active machine. A clearing attempt brings material too close to the rotating press, and the intake point catches the material. A press does not slow down just because a jam is being cleared. Rollers and plates keep moving with steady force while drawing material through the gap. When tools or loose scraps enter that intake area, control can be lost quickly. The only safe way to clear a blockage is to stop, isolate, and verify that all motion has ended. Shut down the machine before clearing jams. Use lockout procedures every time maintenance begins. Guards, tools, and safe distance should protect the intake point during normal operation. At a factory yard, active tree cutting takes place near overhead lines. A moving trunk section contacts a wire, transferring force into a nearby concrete support. Overhead lines can carry force far beyond the tree being cut. When a trunk contacts a cable, the pull can travel through wires, poles, brackets, and anchors. A work area that seemed outside the tree path can still be affected by the tension in the connected line. Tree cutting near overhead systems requires planning for every object linked to the cable. Map wires, poles, and supports before cutting begins. Keep the clear area wider than the expected tree path. Control the tree with proper equipment, not guesswork. High above an extraction site, an excavator moves near an exposed cut edge. The tracks pass beyond stable ground, and the machine moves beyond stable support. Tracked equipment needs firm ground under the full machine, not just under part of it. Near a cut edge or drop-off, the soil can break, crumble, or give way under concentrated weight. Once the tracks pass the balance point, the excavator's mass pulls it forward, and normal controls cannot restore stable contact. Edge work demands physical barriers and clear machine limits. Keep heavy equipment back from exposed edges. Mark limits clearly before movement begins. Use spotters, berms, and stable roots so the machine does not depend on weak ground. At an industrial gate, an incoming cargo tractor turns into the site. During the turn, heavy, unsecured rolls shift sideways from the flatbed into the surrounding path. Cylindrical freight is naturally difficult to control because it can roll when lateral force builds. During a turn, the load wants to continue outward while the truck changes direction. Without straps, wedges, or rated restraints, the rolls can move beyond restraint and enter nearby space. The outside of a turning vehicle should stay clear whenever round cargo is being transported. Secure rolling cargo with proper restraints. Keep distance from turning trucks. Check bindings before travel, especially when the route includes corners, slopes, or uneven ground. At a warehouse, the nearby floor area remains occupied beside an active forklift. The unbalanced machine tips and its load moves into the nearby floor area. A forklift can become unstable when the load is too heavy, too high, or too far forward. The machine's balance depends on the load center staying within rated limits. If weight shifts beyond that point, the forklift can tilt before stable control is restored. The area beside and in front of the machine should remain clear whenever heavy material is raised or transported. Check capacity before lifting. Keep loads low and centered while moving. Create a clear perimeter around forklifts so load movement does not enter occupied space. On a paved driveway, a heavy gas cylinder is being adjusted. The valve releases without warning, creating uncontrolled cylinder movement across the surface. Compressed gas stores energy even when the cylinder appears still. If the valve or threads fail, escaping pressure can push the tank in random directions. The force may lift, spin, or slide the cylinder across the surface before stable control is restored. Because the movement is unpredictable, cylinders must be protected before any handling, transport, or storage begins. Keep valve caps installed when cylinders are not in use. Secure tanks upright to fix supports. Inspect threads, valves, and fittings before opening or moving pressurized containers. A wheelbarrow is used to block a high-pressure pipe outlet. The water force pushes the equipment backward and sends the setup out of control. High-pressure discharge can carry far more force than it appears to have. When an outlet is blocked with loose equipment, the flow redirects its energy into that object. The wheelbarrow becomes part of the pressure path and can move quickly across the wet surface. Water under pressure should be managed with valves, drains, and engineered deflection, not improvised barriers. Control pressurized flow with proper fittings. Keep loose equipment away from active outlets. Stand clear until the line is depressurized. A group attempts to move a heavy brick wall using improvised manual force. The wall quickly tips, sending loose material into an uncontrolled structural failure. A standing wall stores weight that must be released through a planned demolition method. Once the structure begins to lean, its movement becomes difficult to guide by hand. Loose bricks, uneven force, and changing balance can send material into areas that were not cleared properly. Manual pushing gives too little control over timing, direction, and final landing area. A movable pallet is moved into loaded racks, triggering rack instability across the floor. Storage racks are designed for vertical load, not sudden side impact. A moving pallet can transfer enough force into the frame to loosen connections and start a chain reaction. Once one rack bay shifts, the weight above can pull the next section out of alignment. A warehouse with heavy inventory must be treated as a controlled work area at all times. Keep unsafe play away from equipment and storage aisles. Operate pallet movers only for assigned tasks. Protect rack structures from impact with barriers, spacing, and disciplined movement. At a loading zone, a worker stands on a truck liftgate while moving a heavy crate. The moment the load comes off, the platform rebounds sharply upward. Never stand on a tension tailgate or suspended ramp while moving top-heavy freight, and never underestimate the upward rebound that occurs when a heavy load suddenly drops away. When the weight is removed, the stored energy in the vehicle suspension can be released suddenly. Receiving crews should use forklifts, dock levelers, or pallet jacks from stable ground instead of manually shifting heavy freight on a suspended ramp. Workers should also stay clear of the immediate transfer area and avoid standing on the tailgate pivot point. In this footage, a tractor pulls another in a high-tension competition. Without warning, the pulling machine lifts onto its rear wheels and rotates backward past its stable balance point. Heavy towing puts extreme torque through the tractor frame. When the tow load resists movement, the engine force can rotate the machine instead of pulling it forward. If the front end rises past the balance point, the tractor can rotate beyond its recovery point. High-tension pulling needs controlled limits, proper equipment, and enough open space around the machine. Respect towing capacity and hitch height. Avoid sudden throttle under heavy resistance. Use equipment designed for pulling so that torque does not turn into uncontrolled rotation. To keep learning from these important workplace safety lessons, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay aware, stay safe.